Ladies and gentlemen, buzzards and gulls, we are back with another Wingspan gameplay video. My name is Nester. Grab some coffee, grab some tea, whatever you prefer to drink, and let's get right into it. I found a recording from, I think this is about 2 weeks ago. I played this game. The title of the recording I think I called it, Is there such a thing as too many cards? That's what I called this game. So, but genuinely, I don't remember what happens. So I think this will be a fun little video experiment. We're just gonna watch this together. I'll commentate over it. We'll all live in suspense together and see how this game went. The only thing I do know is that I don't want to give any spoilers. There's one thing I do know about this game, but I'm pretty sure this was a tournament game. Looking at this opening hand, Masked Lapwing, love to see that card in the opening hand. That is an A tier bird, possibly an S tier bird for your opening hand. I'm going to say A just because S tier I think is reserved for, you know, the power birds, the Gala, the maned duck, ravens and gulls, just, you know, those birds that you can build around that just completely change the game. Masked Lapwing though, that's A, B plus tier at worst. Yeah. So I looked at all this and I see that I've got just a lot of birds that I kind of want, but more importantly I've got this swallow and this black-headed gull, and I've got a lapwing. Lapwing is going to get me probably around 4 food. That's what I find lapwing. Sometimes lapwing hits all 6, sometimes you get 2. It's a very volatile bird, but generally the bell curve hits you around 4 to 5 food. So I decided, you know what, I can use most of these, and I have tuck and draw from Violet Green Swallow. So, and I also want to use my black-headed gull. So I decide, okay, I'm going to probably drop the lapwing first with my nectar, gain all the food that I can get, and then put down, I think, looking back at this, I would put either the Clark's Nutcracker, probably not, but, no, I think I would just put the Violet Green Swallow in the forest and start taking food and tucking, you know, the vulture, the nutcracker, hell, even the black-headed gull can go if I'm getting what I need and just want to keep building out a forest engine. But yeah, that's how I would approach this now, future Nester. But I'm curious to see what I did, so let's find out. So he kept 2 birds, plenty of food, so I think my initial decision's pretty easy, just play the lapwing, see what it hits. I decided to play it in the grasslands because I know I will need eggs. So I'm not sure if I'm going to build, you know, gull into Violet Green Swallow, or if I'm going to do Violet Green Swallow and then hope for more forest. But I get 5 hits. Really love to see that. The only one that missed was the fish. Not a huge deal. When you can get 4 out of the lapwing, it did its job. When you can get 5 or 6, it's just a bonus. So great start. And now I look at black-headed gull, and I think what you do now is you see what your opponent does with his first. You see what your opponent does with his first turn, and decide, okay, do you want to start stealing his food, or do you want to start tucking and just build the best forest engine you can? Generally, forest engines are super powerful right now. Even Clark's Nutcracker is an option to build a forest engine with, because it can, 1, it hits the first end around, which is kind of nice, but 2, it can just gain wheat and cash them throughout the game for points. If I'm playing Violet Green Swallow, I'd probably just want to keep getting points throughout the game, but I look at it, I think, I don't know, does he have nectar that I need? But either way, I'm probably not playing Nutcracker now. At least I don't think I would. Thinking over. Oh, Audouin's Gull. Okay. I don't hate that. Alright. Audouin's Gull. Generally a good bird to start with. Okay, I don't hate that. I think I could have played it and tried to draw either Audouin's or lesser frigate bird, but you know, hindsight's 20/20. So I think I'm looking at a pretty decent wetlands engine with that Audouin's Gull then. That's why I love keeping Violet Green Swallow. I think it's just a really good bird, especially in your starting hand. Obviously, birds are always stronger when they're in your starting hand. I don't know if that's true. I'd rather find Benelli's Eagle at the end of the game than at the beginning of the game. Yeah, I think with the way this is going, it's looking like I'm going to want to be using Audouin's and Violet Green Swallow to just tuck cards. The European Robin looks pretty tempting, but I don't want to draw blank twice if I'm already going to be drawing a bunch with Black-Headed and Audouin's, so... If I'm saying that wrong, go ahead and type the pronunciation in the comments. Audouin's? Audouin's? I don't know, it's a European bird, I'm pretty sure, so I'm probably saying it wrong. Hi everyone, this is Future Knack Nester. I just wanted to say I decided to look this up. Apparently this is named after a French naturalist named Jean-Victor Audouin. I think in English we tend to just say the final syllables Audouin, but I think in French you don't have to pronounce that last part, so it comes out Audouin. That's my best attempt. I'm sure I'm still butchering it, but anyway, cheers! I think I checked to see if he has nectar or not, and he didn't, so I decided, alright, we'll just chill. Or maybe he just didn't have food in general, but either way, I think it's safe to, you know, put down some eggs and then get Audouin's out next. Oh, he did have a nectar, and I really wanted it, but I think I wanted to start using Audouin's. I think that was a little greedy, not gonna lie. I think it was pretty safe to just take the nectar from him and force him to take a, you know, rodent or fish, right? Yeah, that would have been one less nectar for him, but he would have taken the fish and just used it on that current bird, so that royal spoonbill, so it's not a huge difference, but... I decide whether or not I'm keeping Nutcracker, and I decided to keep it, or use the wheat because I kind of want, you know, a big point bird to follow this with. I want, and typically rodent-eating birds, not all of them, a lot of the rodent-eating birds, a lot of the predator powers are high points, so I wanted to go with that. Yep, see that in the tray, and I know, do I want to transition to a forest engine? Typically when you're building, one thing I'm trying to learn, and maybe this isn't the correct philosophy, but typically I want all of my point generators in one row, and then all of my resource generators in another row. I think that's a generally good way to approach this game. Ideally, you can just get everything you need out of the same row. I mean, that's Wingspan, right? But it doesn't always go that way, and, you know, what are you going to do? So I decided, okay, I don't know if I should have taken that, that last bird, the nuthatch, I think it is, the cache one food, but I think it's early enough in the game that that's probably worth it to take. I'm curious to see how many, if I play it and how many points it's worth at the end. White-breasted nuthatch is generally a good bird to start with, but I've already got Violet Green Swallow, so I've already got plenty of points to generate out of my wetlands, and I think if I'm going to transition to the forest, I want to transition into a heavy resource generating. But I don't know, maybe it makes sense. Maybe I just play that and then take some food, but I know I'm basically ditching this last end around. I know it's just not going to happen, basically, but or this first end around, and I think that's okay. Generally, you don't need to win the first end around or even like truly compete for it. And winging it is a big proponent of not chasing the end of rounds if You know, you really just want to get set up in the first round, is the way he says it. If you can win the first round while getting set up, that's how you get, you know, at the end of the day, it's 4 points. You know, we're talking about a game that's worth 100, you know, 100 to 120 points, so 4 isn't gonna... I mean, I guess it could win you the game, but I think the game is way more volatile. You're gonna lose a lot of momentum by chasing end of rounds in this one, so... I look at that, and Cassin's Finch, I don't think I'm building a forest engine, so Cassin's Finch actually looks kind of appealing because I'm going to be generating resources elsewhere. And White-Throated Swift, I have all these extra cards. I know I'm not going to use all of them. I'm getting extra from Audouins. I decided Black Naughty, that actually looks pretty good. I can get more resources, more points, potentially, by putting that in my wetlands. I think that's a pretty good bird to grab. So with that, if I'm generating resources out of other rows, then I actually really like that I took Cassin's Finch there. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then lastly, I see Wood Stork and Common Merganser and Common Merganser. And I think I took them. What's my bonus again? I don't actually know what my bonus is. Is it Predator Powers? I wonder if my bonus is Predator Powers, because I'm pretty sure I take the Merganser. Here, let me move my little... Oh, not that. Yeah, I can't see it. So I do take the Merganser, and then just keep the Hummingbird. You never know. I know I'm probably not using Sandpiper, but yeah, I think we can just keep the Hummingbird. Who knows? I might end up placing that somewhere else. I might use that to further my... Yeah, it is Predator Powers, so yeah, the Merganser makes sense. It's like I usually only take that bird if I'm collecting predators for that, so, or if it's birds that eat fish. I don't know. That bird is more of... The point is that bird's more for points, right? So first end around, it's fine. I'm not sweating at this point, but I'm just kind of like, what am I going to do with all these freaking cards? Like, I have way too much information. I don't know the best way to use all these effectively. I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to tuck a lot of these, so... The White-Throated Swift is looking pretty appealing. Maybe I just drop my Nuthatch and my Violet-Green Swallow. Violet-Green Swallow? Yeah. Maybe I just drop my point generators in the forest and just full transition to a forest engine. Or maybe I think at this point I was a little bit lost and just kind of like, man, I wish I could find a clear bird to build around. You know, these are all decent birds. I think I can build something decent, but I just don't know the best way to turn this into, you know, 120, 130 if I can get it, you know, if that's within this. I think Black Naughty is a great bird to start that journey, I think, but, you know, how do I get it down? So, okay, I like this. Yeah, put a point generator up in there. The thing is that I know I need to lay eggs. There's not really too many good resources that I really need. I think that was a mistake. I think I could have just played the Swallow or the... Yeah, I think that would have been fine to play the Swallow there and start tucking some of these cards that I know I don't want to use. And start, like, deciding on a direction that I want to go with this game. Like, Cassin's Sparrow, that's probably a card I don't want to use. Hummingbird I might use, just to generate points. Nutcracker, I don't know, I haven't even decided I'm not playing Nutcracker. It could generate points, right? And then there it is. Direction. You know, a bird I can build around. The noisy miner. I think that was the turning point in this game. I think that's where I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing now. Downy Woodpecker, I think, helps extend it out and really just, you know, by the end of this round, try to get to 4 birds down in the forest. But noisy miner, I think that's the play, right? That's where I'm going with this. Because I have predator powers, these both kind of look decent. Red kite can be super easy to just play, especially with a lapwing, right? So that red kite can just play on my lapwing later in the game for 7 points, essentially. So now looking through all this, I know I have plenty of cards to tuck with Noisy Miner, but I don't quite have the resources I need for Noisy Miner. So, but that doesn't matter. I can start putting stuff down alongside the Noisy Miner. I have 2 eggs already, so I don't need the tuck and eggs from that. Did I force it? I think that's fine. I don't hate forcing it. I think I would rather have put that nuthatch maybe, just as a cheap worm cost, and then take what I need for the miner so that I don't have to waste food. But I'm also building a forest engine, so I guess it's not that big of a deal. So yeah, the mockingbird showed up and I was like, oh, that's a good bird. That really fits. And I was like, man, I've got so many birds in hand already. Why do I keep wanting to take birds? But then I look and it's like, well, I've still got 2 full rounds left and I can use the gull for another point, and I can find things, and he's got a nectar too. So I think that made sense to just snatch a nectar, take food one more time, or take cards one more time. But at this point I'm feeling how many cards I've got in my hand. So now, imagine if I had played the nuthatch first and I didn't waste a food, and then I had... But honestly, okay, I can't criticize not playing the nuthatch first because I realized the end of round bonus is eggs in cups, and now I can copy my miner and I can fill it up real fast. So I can essentially lay 4 eggs on the miner, and I can use the egg from the gull to play 1 more bird in my forest, which I might as well play the nuthatch then. Or the violet green swallow is good too, because I can, you know, start tucking some of these excess cards and start filtering for better cards. I guess it just depends on what reveals. The nutcracker actually makes a lot of sense here too if I get good... you know, if I ditch a card and get all 3 food that I need. But honestly, I don't think I want to ditch cards. I think I'd rather just tuck them behind the miner and really pop off with it. And I'm really thinking about, can I just like instant 5 birds in the forest next turn? Or do I want to take my time and put point generators in the forest, right? Like Cass and Sparrow, and even, or what is it? I have 3 point generators, right? Clark's Nutcracker can get points. It can cache the food. The Nuthatch can get points, and then the Violet Green Swallow. And, you know, if I can turn that into just a 6-point engine, 1, 2, 3, and then technically the Noisy Miner nets 2, and then I could Mockingbird it, so that would net me 2 more. As long as I'm using the eggs, that's, you know, every time I do that action, that's 7 points. But this is going to take me a few turns to get it down. Still, that's a ton of food, a ton of points. I think that makes sense, but I don't know. Let's see how I played this. I don't know if that's exactly what I did. That's also quite an expensive engine to get down right now. You know, Nuthatch, I think, makes the most sense because it's cheap. There's the nectar. And I go ahead and ditch the hummingbird. Okay. I agree with that. Okay. And then Vulture's not happening. Doesn't gain points. No reason. Yep, totally. And then Red-Legged Partridge I don't really need, but it might happen. That's a Cats and Sparrow. There we go. Also not happening, so yeah, I'm cool with that. Future Knack Nester. And now we have 2 and a worm. I think I play the Violet Green Swallow with the 2. I think that makes sense. Coming back to my turn. Yeah, I think Violet Green Swallow makes sense. I think that was the plan. Put that up there. 2 Nectar, totally fine with that. Yeah. Don't play Cassin's Finch, please. If anything, play Clark's Nutcracker. Did I really? And why did I take it off the cup nest? I bet I wasn't gonna win it anyway, but... Man, I played Cassin's Finch instead of the Violet Green Swallow there. I bet I thought it was just too late to try to get a full tucking engine down. Cassin's Finch, huh? I don't know if I agree with that. Past self. Past Knack Nester. Oh, it's because I had the worms already for this. So then I wanted to use 2 Nectar on something else. Alright. I don't hate it. Why did I take the egg off the noisy... Oh, I probably took the egg off the noisy miner to clear it off that, but I wonder, did I lose the end around for that? Okay, I did not lose the end around. So he just reset the tray, and I don't know if I cut this out in editing, but the white stork just showed up in the tray. So I know he's going to lay a bunch of eggs, and that's a good point bomb either way. It doesn't really matter how late you play the white stork, it's generally a good bird to play. Probably still going to play the black Noddy, because it's just a bunch of points. Wilson Storm Petrel I think I'm not playing. Oh, yeah, okay. That's fine too. I can decide later. Wilson Storm Petrel is the nest type that I need, but Downy Woodpecker's probably not happening. I don't know why I'm thinking that through so much, but Willy Wagtail looks like a pretty fun addition to the end of this, but I think I've already got enough cards. You know, Willy Wagtail, I guess it helps me tuck more cards, but I have plenty of cards in hand. I think I just want to take it just to take it away from him, I think is safe. Because he's definitely got plenty of space to fill out his engines, so I think denying the Willy Wagtail, because he can put that right behind his wood stork too, you know? I'm trying to deny a card right now. And if I take this Gold Crest, what am I doing? Why did I take the Gold Crest? I love this game sometimes. I love watching my past self, especially in tournaments. I just feel like I feel like I horribly overthink things when I play in tournaments. Like, Willy Wagtail, he can put that right with his wood stork and start drawing extra cards. He doesn't really need the cards. Maybe I was like, hey, if he takes this, this is bad for him, so go ahead. But I don't know. Whatever. Coming back to my turn. Let's see, he took a Butcher Bird. So he didn't take the Willy Wagtail. I don't think that was a mistake on his part, but yeah, he definitely wasn't taking the Gold Crest. Yeah, gotta keep that Gold Crest away from him. You know, Round 3 Goldcrest, that's real scary. Can't remember what I played last in this row. Generally, if you're gonna play a 5th bird in your forest, you typically want to play it before you flesh out the other rows. So like, I don't know if, I think I might have played this wood stork here, but I don't know if that was the right decision. Because I'd rather have the naughty if I'm going to draw cards again. Well, maybe I did do it. It looks like I'm about to do it. Oh, it's because I don't have egg slots in my minor, and I have. Wingspan over 65, I think, is safer. Visionary leader, I don't think I'm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can fill out the full points from that, and then I don't have to worry about keeping extra cards at the end of the game. Visionary leader is so awkward sometimes. Yeah, the 2 predators that I have in hand, I think, fulfill. So, birds over 65. Those 2 really go hand in hand together. Birds over 65 centimeters and wingspans over 65 centimeters, and then predator nest. So now this black skimmer, never thought I'd say this, this black skimmer is the most valuable card in my hand right now. Yeah, this was a hard decision, but this petrel, I think the petrel makes sense here to ditch because it's not a predator, it's not over 65, it truly does not hit any of the bonuses. The only reason I thought about keeping the Storm Petrel is because it's 6 points and it hits one of my bonus cards, the Ground Nest, but I'm pretty sure I've already got my other 2 Ground Nests picked out, and so then Petrel doesn't really hit the other 2, so I'm totally fine ditching it. Black Skimmer, like I said, really looking like a pretty great card. It hits all 3 of my bonuses. And then Common Merganser also hits the Falconer and the Large Bird Specialist, so that also looked fairly appealing. Blue Throat, not so appealing. I've only got 2 egg slots on the minor, so I'm safe to just copy the Violet Green Swallow and just take the tuck point and just check again, see if I can find something better than what I currently have. Avocet, it's 2 of those end around bonuses, but it's only 4 points and it doesn't quite do what it's just not worth as much as the Common Merganser, so I can go ahead and ditch that. So the Kite hits the Large Bird Specialist, and it's a predator. So that actually, playing that on top of the Lapwing is looking pretty appealing. I feel like a lot of people sleep on the Common Buzzard and the Red Kite. They're not usually that useful of cards, but here's a situation where it actually makes sense to actually use it and play it on top of a lower point bird. I hope you all are grateful that I take the time to cut out all the dead time between turns. I don't want to fault my opponent at all. This is not a criticism of my opponent for taking his time. I think especially in tournament games, like, take as much time as you need. Like, we're both trying to win. I get it. But there was a full 2 minutes between turn there that you all didn't have to experience. So I actually like the way I played this out at the end. It was a very low-risk approach to the end game where I just know the cards that are worth lots of points for me. The Predator Powers, the birds with 65 centimeters or less, the Ground Nests, and just play them. You know, the other option is you can start drawing for more valuable birds, but no need to. You've got some worth playing. Go ahead and drop them, and then head into the final round and see what happens. So coming into this final end of round, I know I'm probably not going to win unless maybe I try to force down the, what is that, red-legged partridge, and then lay eggs 3 times essentially, because I'd take food once and then play the partridge, lay eggs 3 times, probably put red kite over the lapwing first, so lay eggs twice, but either way, it just kind of looks like an ugly way to try to win the end around, when I think it's more worth it to just try to just play value turns. So yeah, I think I just draw cards here. Yep, totally. Hey, that's a decent bird, and it's a predator. Love to see it. It is not a ground nest, but that's okay. Another predator. Love to see it. Probably not going to play that one because it's pretty low points, but still. And European turtle dove. Love to see that too. Extra bonus card? Oh yeah. And then love these roll the dice not in the feeder. 6 rolls, no fish. What are you going to do? I know red-backed fairy wren isn't happening. And Inca Dove is probably not happening either. In fact, it's definitely not as well. But whatever. Free card is free. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a rodent for that Rufus Owl. Would love to have stolen something like that. But, you know, whatever. So now I've got plenty of cards to tuck with Violet Green Swallow. Noisy Miner can trigger twice with the Northern Mockingbird. I can play the Rufus Owl, take 2 cards off of it. I got options now. I kind of want to play the Turtle Dove because I have a lot of birds down, and you know, I think it would hit something. It's always a risk playing things like the Turtle Dove and the Red Knot where you only get 1 bonus card, but I tend to like them in situations like this where I've got plenty of birds down already, and honestly, it's 4 points. It can go in the grasslands. It can lay an egg in the grasslands. So I don't actually have to take the lay eggs action. I can just lay 1 egg in on that lapwing or something, and then it'll fulfill the end around. I actually really like the Turtle Dove as like one of my final birds to play. So I take as much nectar as I can find, take the spare rodent, ditch the Inca Dove because I know I'm not going to use it, grab another nectar, love to see it, tuck the yellow-rumped warbler, totally cool with that, and then find a stubble quail. Really, really fantastic find at this point in the game. That is probably a 9-point play because it'll cost you 1 egg to play it, but then it'll lay 6. I've got plenty of food access to really get some value out of it, so it's coming back to my turn. I look at the cards in my hand, and I've had plenty of time to look them over, and I'm fairly certain Rufus Owl makes sense. Now, I kind of want to use the Turtle Dove still, but the priority is definitely maxing out the Stubble Quail, because the Stubble Quail will also give me 6 eggs towards the end around, and it also can consume all the nectar that I could possibly want. So I think I just use the 2 rodents. How did I do this? I think I put the Rufus Owl down first. That definitely makes sense. Maybe I want more information? I don't hate that either. Okay. Yeah. And so I see I've got 3 or food cost of 3, so then I'm like, okay, can I play, Stubble Quail doesn't really have that, so, but either way, I'll take the 3 points, and I'm probably still gonna play the Rufus Owl, and then I'm gonna take a food because I can use any excess food on the Stubble Quail. And by taking a food, I get a nectar point as well, so. Final two turns I think are pretty straightforward. I can't really get too much more value out of things. I could try to play another ground nest, but the only ground nest I could play is worth 1 point, so I think Rufus Owl goes down next. Think about playing Red Kite, but Red Kite is 6 points. I've already got the necessary birds for the I wonder if I could have played Red Kite here. You know, looking back, I don't think I do, but I think I should have. I think if I put Red Kite on Lapwing, then I'll get 6 points for that. And then Stubble Quail can then use all of the rest of the food. I think the only reason I would want to play Rufus Owl here is because it can consume nectar and give me more nectar points in the forest to give me a bit of a higher lead. And that way I can kind of split my last 3 nectar. But I guess it really depends on how many nectar my opponent has and where he would play them. So I look and I see he's got no nectar. So in the end, I do decide to play Rufus Owl, I think. I don't know. Let's all just wait and see. Man, I really took my time with these last turns. I'm pretty sure I'm way ahead of my opponent at this point. I do not need to be overthinking this so much. Don't get me wrong, it's a good thing to be overthinking your final turns and really make sure you're getting as many points as possible. I just know he doesn't really have much nectar to begin with, so yeah, I think this makes sense. And then spend take an egg off of that. And then spend all the food. Totally. And there's no way I'm winning this end around because he's got 4, 4. He's got 12 showing, and I could jump up to 6. And if he uses 2 more, then I could theoretically lay eggs with my last turn and get 4 more eggs in my grasslands, but I don't think that's worth it. I think that's what I was considering, is if I use Stubble Quail, can I win the end around? I decided I can't win the end around, but I can still play 1 more bird after this, and that is the Red Kite. I think I did end up using that Red Kite, which is neat. Final turn, pretty straightforward. Drop that Red Kite, it's really my only option. You know, he's got eggs in other rows, so there's no reason he would use 2 of his eggs to do that, so it really only hits the predator ability, so or the falconer power. You know, I've always wondered, I'll just post this, somebody tell me in the comments. I never want to, but I've always wondered if you put Red Kite like on that Violet Green Swallow right there, do all the cards tucked under the Violet Green Swallow get discarded as well? Or do they all get tucked underneath? When I play on tabletop, I just assume they all stay tucked underneath, but I guess I probably am misplaying when I'm on tabletop, but anyway. feeling pretty good about how this game went. Feel like I had a lot of food availability and really good forest engine going. And look at that, 120 to 115. So my opponent certainly had a very good game. 115 is a very respectable score. Just goes to show if I hadn't really overthought those final turns, I probably may not have pulled that out. Looking at my opponent, I think he had 23 on his bonus points, which is really fantastic. Yeah, he played all those big bonus point birds. Yeah, getting the mechanical engineer, really jealous to see that. I just feel like when you're collecting bonus cards and you get a mechanical engineer, it's just a free 8 points. But yeah, overall fantastic game. Really happy with the way I played it. Hope you all enjoyed. Feel free to like, subscribe, leave some comments, you know. Hey, really love the content. Hey, really hate your voice. I don't know, just say something, whatever. Anyway, thanks for watching if you made it this far, and cheers.